What is up, YouTube, and welcome to another Etheria video. I know I haven't been making a lot of content on this game, and you might be thinking it's probably because I'm playing some other games, which is partly true, but it's mostly just because of the state of the game just making it a lot harder for me to make content for it. And the reason isn't really because there isn't a lot for content creators to do. You know, they can always play RTA and stuff like that with Summon Arena, and PvP is something you can kind of make content on endlessly, but it's mostly the fact that the meta just makes it so that it's not as enjoyable as before for me. And personally, I just find that with a lot of my guildmates and all my friends that I've been playing the game with, and even have met through this game, quitting, it just makes the game less fun to me. So that's like the biggest reason why I haven't been making as much content, and I just wanted to talk about it today because people have always been asking me, why I'm not making as much content. Am I quitting the game? Well, I'm not really going to quit the game because I've already invested so much time and some money into it. And also I still enjoy the game, but there's some stuff I really wish that gets implemented soon. And I don't mean like, in a couple months and stuff like that, like within the next month, because it's just very hard to, play this game all day, every day without getting kind of bored recently, right? So the thing I want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about PvP balancing because it's a really hot topic and there's many different ways to actually look at it. But basically, I'm just playing like one game every 4 days now, and I just randomly got into top 200 again. And, I've been like top 100 every single season. I've like hit top 25 for every single season. I didn't really maintain it though because I don't really spend as much as you'd think on this game, and I don't really take it too seriously. But like in terms of PvP, I think everyone knows that, with the new characters, with Ray Mary and stuff like that, it's kind of just really frustrating to play as turn 1. And even as a turn 2 bruiser player, like this character is just not fun to play against because you have stuff like Ray Mary and Plume both being just giga broken like first pick characters, and you're just kind of like playing around it permanently, which makes it, it's not as bad for us obviously for like bruisers, but when you can expect the draft and kind of plan out the draft and what the opponents are going to pick all the time, it just makes it very less enjoyable. And I think the reason why is more so than like the PvP meta. I know I've talked about it before, it's just the lattice situation, right? Every like LD5, not LD5 star, LD SSR that comes out, and even like RGB lately with like Aya and Kokardi, they really want a lot of lattices because a lot of their power comes at level 5. So the thing with that is that because these new characters require so much lattice, you have to kind of full invest in them or just not use them. And it's really risky to invest your lattice into other characters. Like for example, I still want to try out like fully maxed out Infonial in a bruiser comp. There's like other characters I want to try out as well, like a bruiser Beyontin as well, but it doesn't really work because you can't really risk your lattice. Otherwise you end up bricking your account, right? If you max a character and it ends up being bad, in terms of dollar value, which is absolutely crazy, you're losing out on like $600 USD. So not really the best investment. And I think like the lack of lattice just makes the PvP meta how it is. It's not really like certain units are broken and stuff like that. It's just like there's so many different characters that we're unable to try out that could potentially be strong, right? So I think that's like a big thing. A good example of that would be like Celine, who is like super meta now, but she got like the smallest buff, and it was mostly to counter cleave. It's just like the shield at the start of battle. It's a very good buff, but people are starting to realize, and I did say this before she got buffed, that she seems like a very good character when you max her, that she's actually extremely powerful. Like everything else in her kit is just absolutely amazing for any situation, and all they added was the shield buff. And because they added that shield buff, people started investing into her S2. They started, making her their anti-cleave unit. Then they realized, oh my god, this character is super strong everywhere, and they started maxing her. So, just having like the ability to experiment with these characters would just make the game more fun. And yeah, I really hope that, I'm able to actually play with different characters, right? Even like, playing like a bruiser Nahor, for example, which is what I wanted to do. I can't really do right now. So that's like the lattice situation in PvP. The other thing I want to talk about is just like the content. So a game that only has PvP content, your PvP has to be like top notch, like #1 in the genre, to make it survive, right? If it's not like the best or like close to the best, then you better have some PvE content to make people want to play. Even the games with really good PvP content, such as like the other PvP gacha genres, they still have a lot of PvE like areas to play. This game doesn't really have that, and I think the one that they're missing the most is just another guild mode. Like Union Boss is like a joke. It's been a joke since like week 1, honestly. Like sure, some guilds struggled, but you're just going in and just hitting the boss, right? There's nothing else to it. But like, I really wish that they added some sort of third content that was like a lot more interactive with your guildmates. If you play like Epic 7, like they have like this huge map in Ancient Inheritance where you kill bosses. And I think like a good layout for that could be something like Ethernet Rally. Like not exactly like this, but could you imagine if you like, you know, people spawn, you know, different areas and you have to like clear to a boss and stuff like that, and you get a lot of rewards, maybe even lattice fragments, right? I think that would just make the game way more fun. And I think the biggest problem with why people are quitting is, you know, if you're in a guild and you're like in that guild for like a month or two, and then the guild like starts dying out by members leaving, well, it kind of just like demoralizes you, because then you have to kind of look for a new guild, and then you have to like apply to them, and you have to meet their standards, right? Especially if you're trying to be somewhat competitive. So it just makes it very, very, I guess, boring when you're playing any game alone. So I know a lot of people, especially nowadays with like Discord and stuff being a thing, really like just become friends with their guildies. So like having like another guild content where you actually have to, you know, do stuff together would be a lot better. And even though we do have United Front, the thing is like United Front, the way it's laid out is just not the best. It's kind of like the UI is pretty janky, it can be updated and stuff like that. So it doesn't really feel like, also like Guild Wars and like every other game isn't like that super intense in like coordination for the most part. So I think just adding like another Union guild content would be great. On top of that, I really think that, you know, for everything that rotates in terms of bosses, it needs to be like different. You know, even something like Phantom Theater, if like we didn't just only get these lions with the same thing every single week, it would be interesting if you have to bring different characters. Infinity Train is also like a really like boring content that you just have to do and kind of grind. Even like Ember Trek and Ethernet Rally, right? Just like, it feels like you're using a lot of time to just get your lattice and get out. It's not really like any fun in doing it. So, you know, I just really wish that there's something refreshing in terms of content. We have that like Halloween event coming out, but I don't want to say I don't really have high hopes for it, but I don't really, you know, see it being something insanely like high in content. So yeah, just anything would be nice. So just want to let you guys know what I think about the game situation and the state of it. Do I think the game is like dead or doomed or anything like that? I don't really think so. You know, the base foundation for the game is really good, but I just really hope that for like the players that are still holding on, that we kind of get something, and even for like the new players that join with Asia, that we kind of like hide the problems that existed so that players still play the game, because I do want this game to do well, because RTA I think has a lot of potential in this game. Like, I still think there's a lot of problems with PvP, don't get me wrong, but this game has a lot of potential, and potential isn't enough to carry you, so we need to, you know, do stuff. So but yeah, just wanted to make this video today. I know I've been lurking the Korean forums, and there's a lot of complaints that we already did in the past, such as Fearless Arena matching level 50s with like level 100s and stuff like that. So yeah, just curious what you guys think about the game. Let me know in the comments down below. No filter, you know, I don't really care. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.